How many languages do you speak? Well, in many parts of the world, it's common to switch between several languages all in one day. But it seems there are also health benefits to being linguistically talented. New research out of India suggests that being bilingual can delay the onset of dementia by as much as 5 years. The research looked at more than 600 people and found that speaking more than one language was beneficial, even when people couldn't read or write in it. Let's take you to Karin now, who joins us now from the world's newsroom. Just to remind you, 27 different languages services up there. I don't know about you, Karin, but every time I go up to the language services, I feel slightly inferior.
Yes, indeed, Lucy. If there are health benefits to speaking lots of languages, the people up here will be feeling those health benefits, because it's hard to imagine an area with a greater concentration of nationalities and languages than here on the 5th floor. I'm just showing you a sort of vague overview of the newsroom up here, because you've got Hindi service, Urdu, Central Asian services where we are at the moment, and there are many of them within those services. And just walking over here, we've got Hamid Ismailov, who is the editor of the Central Asian Service, and he alone speaks a multitude of languages. Hamid, just tell us, how many languages do you speak, and how did this all begin?
If to talk about the sort of how many languages I can communicate, it's a couple of dozens maybe. But if you're asking me about the sort of written skills, so maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 maybe languages.
You began your linguistic journey in Uzbekistan. That's where you're from. And then where did it grow from there?
Generally, Uzbekistan is a sort of crossroad of the cultures, civilizations, and therefore lots of languages are there by default, you know. So from the very beginning, I started to speak Uzbek, Tajik and Russian, and therefore it was easy to pick up other languages. And when I started to grow up, I started to translate poetry from different languages, and there is nothing better than read poetry in original languages. So I started to pick up European languages, then the Asian languages like Persian, for example, like Turkic, then European languages like Spanish. I used to translate Lorca, Portuguese, French. I used to translate Verlaine, Apollinaire and many others, and English as well.
Hamid, you are the BBC World Service's writer-in-residence. Thank you so much. It is an extraordinary linguistic journey. Let me take you on a journey through the 5th floor, just getting James to pan down where we are, down onto the -1 basement floor. This is where the actual production of BBC World News and many other news programmes is. So it's way up here, 6 floors up. You've got the language services. We've got Focus on Africa just over here. They'll be preparing for their programme at 17:30 GMT. And over in the distance, the Burmese service, Chinese service, and the radio studios. And we're moving as fast as we can past all the studios that they use for the different language services to talk to one man who possibly trumps everybody else. Now, I learnt languages all through school and university. I can speak maybe 3, but this man has had to write a list of all the languages he spoke, just so he could tell us how many. And Kasim Kaira, BBC Swahili, we're actually looking at your list. You genuinely had to write them down and try and think of how many you spoke.
Yes, I had to be thinking very quickly to imagine which language I was speaking in, but I speak 12 languages.
12 languages. Just tell us the languages.
It's Kinyarwanda, it's Luganda, it's Lunyankole, it's Lunyoro, it's Utoro, it's English, it's French, it's Arabic, it's a bit of Kamba, it's Luchiga, it's Kirundi.
And how come you speak so many, Kasim? How did it all begin?
It's not really so much of a surprise in the region that I come from. I mean, partly it's a survival instinct. For many refugees, the only way to survive in such areas is for you to learn the language. Once you know the language, it's part of identity. So I was born in Uganda, I grew up in Kenya, my parents are from Rwanda and Congo, and therefore the sort of the connection, the interconnection between all these areas created what is me now. And learning the languages as I went along was one way of making sure that I survived. It was one way that allowed me to fit in within those communities.
Fascinating, Kasim, and you're speaking to us in perfect English, sitting next to a Russian colleague working on BBC Swahili. You can see, Lucy, what a microcosm of the world and its languages it is up here.
Karin, it's been so fantastic to join you on the 5th floor. The 3 of you have actually left me with a bit of an inferiority complex. Thanks so much, and thanks to everyone up there. Well, with me is BBC